Hello, this is section 3.2. This is where we're going to be combining like terms, so they're going to be living in the same house if they are the same variable to the same power, or they're going to be neighbors. In addition, the constants are going to be at the end of the street like the cul-de-sac, and we also have some distributive property to do. So that's the giving it out. So we can think about when people make it rain with money, you're going to be distributing, you're going to be giving out whatever's in front of the parentheses to each of the parts behind it. Also, you want to remember that you distribute the subtraction sign like you're multiplying by -1 with all the parts in the expression after a negative sign. So we've got all those good things to look forward to. We're going to do 4 of the problems that you have assigned. It's page 90 to 91, numbers 8 to 25 all, and I really did try to pick the ones that looked the most challenging, and they're not even the odds. So you've got all those odd answers in the back of the book. Please use those guides to help you when you're doing these difficult homework assignments. They will really help you, but your brain should be really working hard and feeling great, and it's a very positive thing. You guys are doing a wonderful job at building yourselves and building your brain power. It's very cool. Proud of you. So we're going to do problem 12, 16, 20, and 24. So we're going to start off with problem number 12. Remember, please just do these out of order. Don't try to pre-number. It doesn't make things easy. So number 12 is 5 times the quantity of -3.4k, so yep, we've got our decimals going on, minus 7, plus the quantity of, that's what you say for the parentheses, 3k plus 2. So it looks to me the final result is going to have a k house, and then after that is going to be a constant house. Okay. So we're going to be taking that 5 because it's in front, and we're going to be distributing that. So we're going to take that, and when it's right next to parentheses, it means to multiply. So we're going to multiply 5 times 3.4k, that's all one term. Sorry, negative 3.4k. And then the 5 also times the -7. So there are 2 different terms that both have to be multiplied by -5. That's the first thing that we've got to do. So I don't know what 3.4 times 5 is, so I'm going to just do that on the side of my paper. 3.4 times 5 is going to be 20. 15 plus 2 more is 17. I have 1 decimal place in my question, so my answer is going to have 1. So 3.4 times 5 is 17. That makes sense to me because 3 times 5 is 15, and it's going to be a little bit more, so 17 is good. But I've got one of them that's negative, so I know my answer is going to be negative. Because a negative times a positive is a negative answer. So this is -17, but I can't forget the k, and that's supposed to be a lowercase k. Now I'm going to do 5 times -7. 5 times -7 is -35. Now I'm going to take the second part and I'm just going to break it up. Plus, because it's a plus sign, this is like you're really multiplying this by a +1. But a positive won't change anything, it's just a positive number. So if you took +1 and multiply by anything, it would be the same exact thing. So it's really easy to take the +3k and the +2 out of the parentheses. Now I'm looking, and I can see that I've got 2 different things to combine for each house. I've got -17, that's a negative term. Again, I'm doing circle, label, choose, use. And +3, that's a positive term. So for those 2, I'm going to use different, subtract bigger in my head. 17 minus 3 is going to be 14. So I've got 14k. The bigger one was negative, so it's going to be -14k. That's the k house. So we were talking about the structure of a house. Let's see if I got a handy pencil. So this is like its own little house. So you've got the negative 14 for the K house. Next, we have negative 35 and plus 2. Again, those are different, subtract bigger also. So 35 minus 2 is 33. I know the bigger one's negative, so it's minus 33. They cannot live in the same house. They can be neighbors, but they cannot live in the same house. So this is the constant house at the end, and this is the K house. So the final answer is negative 14K minus 33, and that's number 12. Number 16 is next. The question is negative 1/2, so we're going to distribute by multiplying all the different parts in these next set of parentheses by negative 1/2. 7z, I'm going to put a little line on my z, plus 4, plus the quantity of 1/5, so now we're distributing the 1/5 times the quantity of 5z minus 15. Interesting. So we got fractions going on. We're going to use our fraction knowledge to make sure we get these just right. Okay, so the first thing is, if you've got negative 1/2, oh no, sorry. I'm trying to do all these color coding things and it gets a little bit tricky. Let me refocus. There we go. Okay, so negative 1/2 gets multiplied by 7z, and it gets multiplied by positive 4. Negative 1/2 times 7z, there are a lot of different ways I could write this. I think I'm just going to take it and say negative 1 times 7 is negative 7 over 2. I'm just going to leave it as negative 7 over 2z for now. I could change it to negative 3.5. Maybe I'll do that later. But for right now, that's what I'm going to leave it as. And then negative 1/2 of, because we're multiplying, so that of means to multiply, of 4. Well, what's negative 1/2 times 4? Well, half of 4 is 2. 1 negative means the answer is going to be negative 2. Now, same goes, I'm going to distribute this 1/5. Oh, I like this. 1/5 times 5z, 1/5 of $5 would be just $1. That's nice. So that makes this just back down to z. If I wanted to put a 1 in front, I could, but I don't really need to. It's just a z. And this is a positive and a positive, so it's going to be, the glue between them is going to be the plus sign. And then 1/5 of negative 15. So I'm thinking, what is 5 into 15? 5 goes into 15 3 times, so 1/5 of negative 15 would be negative 3. Okay, now this isn't so bad. I'm going to put together easily the constants. Maybe I'll do that first. I just feel like it. I'm going to just keep going with the constants. Instead of doing the circle, I'm just underlining them, but we're still using the idea of circle, label, choose, use. Maybe, I don't know if you can tell the difference between the green. I'll underline it for now, but if you wanted to circle it in a different color, that would be just fine. So I can see the constant house is going to have same add keep. They're both negative. So I'm going to say negative 2 and negative 3 is going to be positive 5. So at the end here I've got a positive 5. Now I've got to take the negative 7z, which is really like you owe $3.5 zillion, and you have $1 zillion. There's not really a zillion. But I can see that this is negative, this is positive, so it's going to be different. Subtract bigger. So if I thought of this as 3.5 plus 1, that's going to be 2.5. I think I'm just going to go ahead and change it to be negative 2.5 z. But if you had negative 5 over 2z, that would still be just perfect. Still works. Okay, so I can't push it together anymore. I've got the z house and I've got the constant house at the end, and that's it. All right, next we're jumping to a new idea. These two, the direction was find the sum. Now the direction is find the difference. So I'm going to even write that out. Find the difference. The difference is trickier because when you have a negative, it will change the sign of anything behind it if it's happening in front of the parentheses. So number 20 is the quantity of 6D plus 5 minus the quantity of 2 minus 3D. Okay, so I'm just going to draw in a -1 so I don't get confused. This minus sign is really multiplying and distributing a -1. So if I were going to distribute a -1, everything in the term behind this, the sign is going to do what? Yep, the sign is going to change to its opposite. So this part just stays the same. I'm just going to bring it down. 6D plus 5, but then -1 times 2 is going to be -2, and -1 times -3, a negative times a negative is a positive 3D. Okay, now I've got the D house. This is a positive term. This is a positive term. So I'm going to use same, add, keep, and there are 9 D's in the D house. And last, we've got the constant house, which is plus 5 and minus 2. So this is different, subtract bigger. 5 minus 2 is 3, and the bigger one's positive, so I'm going to sign trail positive 3. 9D plus, oops, sorry, you can't see it. 9D plus 3 is your final answer. Looked worse than it was. Not so bad. Okay, last question. Number 24. You have one more after that. You have the wonderful error analysis. Remember, the red X's that you have for error analysis is like it's worth 10 times the power. Very, very cool. But this is the last even problem that you're going to do. Problem number 24. And it is 3/4 times the quantity of 3x plus 6, close parentheses, minus 1/4 times the quantity of 5x minus 24. Okay, again, it looks like at the end I'm going to have the x house and I'm going to have the constant house. Okay, so I'm going to distribute the 3/4 times 3x and the 3/4 times 6. If I'm multiplying 3/4 times 3x, it's going to be the 9 on, I keep switching colors, it's going to be 9 on top because 3 times 3 is 9 over 4x. So this equals 9 over 4x. And if you wanted to write it in another way, 2 1/4, that would be fine, but that works just fine for now also because we've got fourths going on over here, so we'll see how they combine. Now 3/4 times positive 6. Same thing. This is going to go over 1, but it's a little hard to see all the steps, so I think I'm just going to write it on the side. 3/4 times 6 over 1. I know I can do factor bubbles, so this is going to be divide by 2. Divide by 2. Again, you can do whatever you want in your head, and you can do whatever you'd like onto your paper. So this equals 3 times 3 is 9 over 2 times 1 is 2. So this is 9 over 2. It's positive and positive, so it's going to be a plus sign between them. 9 over 2. Now, let's distribute this negative 1/4. So this whole thing, the negative 1/4, has got to be multiplied out. Okay, negative 1/4 times 5. Again, I'm just going to put the 5 like over 1. So this is going to equal negative 5 over 4x. And then negative 1/4 times 24. Again, I think I'm going to go to the side. Negative 1/4 times negative 24 over 1. I know that 2 negatives is going to be a positive answer, but I also can see that I can do factor bubbles. So I'm going to divide by 4, and I get 6 over 1, which just equals 6. I do remember I'm double checking those 2 negatives multiplied together made a positive answer, so this just equals 6. So at the end I just get to put plus, because it's positive 6. Okay, so let's combine the like terms. 9/4 x is a positive term, and minus 5/4 x is a negative term. So this is going to be different, subtract, bigger. Everything we've done from chapter 1 is all playing out. It's all coming in together. Sorry, let me scooch that over. So I can even put my finger over this so you don't have to worry about it. I'll put my finger over this. Just combine those two. 9/4 x minus 5/4 x. Well, they both have the denominator of the 4, so you can even forget that part. Nah, I can't quite do it. Let's see. If I cover that, I cover that. So really, it's just 9 minus 5. So you get 4/4 x. 4/4? Doesn't 4/4 equal something else? Yeah, 4/4 equals 1x. So you can keep the 1 in front, or you can just put an x. But let's combine the constants now. Here you've got positive 9/2 and plus 6 more. So 9/2 is really equal to 4.5. So if I added 4.5 plus 6, I'd get 10.5. And I think I'll leave it at that form. Plus 10 1/2. They were both positive, so it's going to be same, add, keep. So I'm keeping the positive sign with the plus sign glue in between. That's where the positive sign is. It becomes the plus sign. And that's it. So I guess I could have put that up here. So as simple as I could write it, it would be x plus 10 1/2. So you have one x living in the x house and 10 1/2 in the constant house. That's it. All right.